Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Funky Rainbow's Book Bazaar. It is a furry, four legged, fabulous kind of Saturday, and we are absolutely delighted to be doing this episode on puppy love. It is still the Valentine's month, and this time we thought we'd focus on the love and the companionship and the bonding between us and our four-legged friends. Arunji, good morning. In fact, Sham was saying, hey, I haven't seen Arun in a long time. And I said he's busy at school. I don't think he's going to be able to join us at the show. And I can see you're saying busy time during the end of the academic year. But I'm utterly and absolutely delighted that you have joined us, on this puppy love episode. So, of course, like I said, the adorable creatures, that are part and parcel of our lives, our world, and who actually really complete our world. We thought we'd dedicate this episode of Book Bazaar to them, and to books featuring puppies of all shapes and sizes. And of course, we thought we were only featuring puppies, but I see in our selection there's roosters and there's fish and there's buffaloes even. So we're just going to say it's a pet filled morning at Funky Rainbow. Muttama is here and she says she's delighted with puppy love, no better love. Who can vouch for that better than her, who, has surrounded herself with pets, and loved them absolutely unconditionally right through her life. I mean, I know, you've lost two of your furry friends recently, but I'm sure there'll be more in your life soon. Ramendra Kumar, absolutely delighted to see you here this morning. Also, an animal lover. And I know, you've said many, many times how, your doggy is your closest friend. I mean, it's really incredible when we see these bonds being built, and these bonds that exist so beautifully. In fact, there are really no words. I mean, I've seen lots of friends with pets. I have cousins, family members with pets, and there's just something just so beautiful about the bonds that people and their pets share. And I'm delighted we have a chance to showcase books featuring this bond in different ways. Of course, like I said, Valentine's month still, so why not celebrate puppy love, we say. And Arun saying, now in Hyderabad, we have an issue with stray dogs. I know we do have it in Bangalore as well. And there is this question, right? How do we handle the issue of strays? I mean, the opinion is clearly divided on it, because sometimes the strays have known to, I mean, are known to attack people, and we have read instances and incidences. But what can we do to to give them a home, to foster them as well? Tara Veera Raghavan, good morning. What a pleasure to see you. Absolutely lovely that you join us at the bazaar. And I'm so happy that that bond that was built over a bazaar is now going to translate into the real world. She's the principal of a Montessori school in Bangalore, and I think in March we will be at the school to celebrate a special day with her. I mean, it's just lovely. I can't tell you, how happy we are. These are people that we've just met over the show. I mean, across the last 2 years, and built bonds in the real life world. Anita Venugopal, and I'm sure it's Devansh. Devansh, I hear you were at the Cubbon Park walk with Rupapai, and you, thoroughly enjoyed it. You're saying you're looking forward to meeting all the pets in the books today. I'm absolutely looking forward to introducing them to you. Muttama is thanking me, and I know, as I said, Muttama, there's always going to be puppy love in your life. And Arun says, yes, I'm surprised I've never had any issue with stray dogs. Yes, I mean, but we read these in the newspaper, and when we hear of them attacking children especially, a solution needs to be a humane solution needs to be found, for these issues. Those dogs too need a home. And there are many books in our collection today about bringing strays home as well. Of course, I have to say, we're rebuilding our website. Been a much due initiative, and we've had some troubles with it across the last month or two. So the website is not active at the moment, but when it comes back up, and I'm assuming it's going to take us at least 2 weeks to be able to get it back up, it's going to be better, brighter, and packed with Indian children's books. That much I can certainly assure you. It's going to be a work in progress. I mean, it's going to take us all of this year to set it up into that kind of repository and archive of Indian children's books. However, just for the purpose of e-commerce, we're hoping we can have it set up and running in 2 weeks' time. So those of you who'd like to order books, I know I can't tell you to go to the website and check out our tab, called Book Bazaar, but those of you who'd like to order books, the ones that we're recommending today, do get in touch with us at 99004 95665. You can also be in touch with us on Instagram and Facebook to place your book orders. Ramendra Kumar, you say, I hate the word dog. It has become so pejorative thanks to Bollywood. Kutte kamine mein tera khoon pee jaunga, which, of course, Garam Dharam, I think, immortalized. I prefer calling man's best friend a grown up puppy or a guppy. Really, that is, a very, very sweet way to refer to your own best friend. You're saying, oh, you said, or a fur guppy. Okay, you want to call them a fur guppy. Well, whatever the words to describe your best friend, our four-legged friends. And of course, in the books today, not just four-legged friends, we also have some two-legged ones as well. And yes, I hope you enjoy our selection. We have, of course, a wonderful guest joining us later in the show. It's Soha Ali Khan with two excellent picture books, the Inni and Bobo picture books, which are about a little girl called Inni and her pet whom she fosters, her parents foster. And what is that bond, that beautiful bond between Inni and Bobo? We can't wait to chat with her when she joins us at 12 o'clock today. But before that, I'll get started with a clutch of recommendations, and trying to do ones that we haven't spoken of before. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is a book that I, absolutely and utterly love. This is Purple Jojo. I mean, it's such a sweet book for our youngest readers. I mean, I just love the way it's been illustrated too, very, very simply, written by Samira Zia Qureshi and illustrated by Jaikar Marur. It's just such a lovely little story about Jojo, who's a little white dog. But one morning, Jojo wakes up to see that there are purple spots on his body. Bow wow! Where on earth did those spots come from? That's what Jojo is wondering. And in this beautiful simplistic way, the simplistic imaginations that of children, he asks the passing cloud, did you put the purple spots on my body? And the cloud's like, well, I'm white. How can I make purple spots on your body? And he's like, okay, what's happening? I can't give away the entire story, but I can say, Arun saying, I love Jojo. Yes, anybody who wants to enjoy the unbridled, simple pleasure of a puppy exploring his world, this is a book that you certainly got to pick up. Of course, moving forward, he asks the sun, but I'm not going to tell you much more about Purple Jojo. The book is bilingual, and we have the English Kannada version available at the moment. Absolutely perfect for our youngest readers. I'd say definitely 2+ if you're reading it to them, 3+, 2+, 3+, depending on how you think your child responds to the story. Kavita Kanmani, what a pleasure when a principal of a school joins us at a show. You're looking forward to a possum time. We too are looking forward to a possum time. Wanted to say that there are paws and there are feet and there are horns and there are hooves in our show today. We've called it puppy love, but we couldn't but help bring in a clutch of other pets as well. So lovely that you've joined us this morning. When we talk to a lot of pet lovers, and we have them right in our midst in our office, they're always talking about how much having a pet at home changes their personalities, their own personalities for the better. There's always that discussion about pets fostering empathy, helping to reduce stress, making us more responsible, making young people more responsible for the care of a pet. It's just remarkable. And one parent I remember speaking, whom I spoke to, so nicely said that because she had a pet at home, it absolutely helped her child learn to read. I believe the mother would read aloud to the child, and the child in turn would read to the dog. We know Muttama, for instance, has gotten books autographed for her dogs. The copies for Muttama and her children are separate from the copies for the dog. So you see, that's what I'm saying. This mother told me that, the way she reads aloud to the child, later when she sneaks a peek into the child's room, she found the child reading aloud to their doggy. And I thought, wow, really, what a wonderful way to bond with your pet over books. Kavita, you're saying you would love to pick up Purple Jojo. I know you're in touch with Muttama, and you're going to want to, like many principals have said, pick up every single book that we are recommending in the library. For your library. Fortunately, we're here to stay, and I know schools have budgets. So whatever will fits into your school's budget, you can pick up this year. Many of these books will be there next year as well. But we'd be utterly, utterly delighted if you picked up Purple Jojo. I think your children will absolutely enjoy this one. Good morning, Divya Menon. Is it Avyukt and Ameya Nair, or is it Divya and Siddharth? We don't know. We will find out while I get on to my next recommendation, which is Richa Jha's Duster. When we put out the poster for the show, somebody said, you've got to make a start with Richa Jha's Duster. Imagine the popularity of the book then, if somebody is recommending that we start with it. We don't want to disappoint our fans and our followers. So here it is, Duster by Richa Jha and illustrated by Neeti Banerjee. And in typical pickle yolk style, the book is about a dog called Duster. But Duster's a dog who thinks he's a cat, and everything, just everything that Duster does. And I just love the delightful illustrations. He likes, you can see Duster, loving the couch, loving the chandelier, loving the bookshelves, and mostly just behaving like a cat. And you know what? He didn't like to play fetch. He didn't want, when you threw the ball or you threw a stick, he didn't want to go bring it because Duster absolutely believed that he was a cat. Now his owner, the human, and I like the way the human has been impersonalized. The story's focus is on Duster. The human's really bewildered. What kind of pet do I have for a friend, really, right? And why is my dog not behaving like a dog? Well, just in the linear way that human beings think, and not doing the things that dogs want to do. So he decides to bring in another dog into his life, but unfortunately for this human, that dog starts behaving like a tiger. Of course, and I just love the illustrations. Buster is the other dog who comes into the house, and who absolutely dives into the food on the table, rips the bed sheets apart, and behaves exactly like a tiger. Now, how does Duster finally, does he show? I mean, is Duster finally a dog to his human friend, or is he a cat to his human friend, or does it really matter whether it's a dog, whether he's a dog or a cat? You've got to read this fabulously nuanced book, picture book, to find out. And for the kids, they're just going to enjoy looking at the pictures and hearing the story, and they'll chuckle over many things. But as you grow up, some of these nuances perhaps, and who knows, even at a younger age, perhaps these nuances are striking. Our kids are so bright these days, so I'm assuming that this some of the nuances they probably will grasp right at an early age. So that's Duster. We'd say again, 4 plus, 3 plus, 4 plus, published by Pickle Yoke Books. And like I said, since we didn't focus entirely on doggies, even if we call the episode Puppy Love, our next book has a rooster, and we love Anushka Ravishankar's writing, her poetry. I mean, the rhyme is top notch in most of her books, and this one, A Rooster for a Pet, is hilarious. It's just absolutely hilarious. By Anushka Ravishankar and illustrated by Emmanuel Scanziani. Now, what is it about? I mean, the rooster in the book, the daddy brings a new pet home, and it's a roly poly chick and a fluffy round ball, essentially, right? And what does daddy think? I mean, and here's where Anushka's absolutely quirky humor is in full display, and you can see the illustrations. Beautiful board book, no, not board book, hardback book, that I think you can keep peering into every now and then and discover something utterly funny and delightful. Now what happens, you see, the chick is round and soft and cuddly, this downy baby chick, but it grew up really quick. Oh my God! What happened to to the chick? It grew up into a rooster very, very quickly. And I can see we got this last time, Avyukta saying, and it is one of the most hilarious books. It is so funny, as are most of Anushka Ravishankar's books of rhyme, just delightfully funny. Daddy thought naively, what you see is what you get. He was wrong, and now we have a rooster for a pet. Just really funny. Please find out what happens. What the rooster, what happens with the rooster becoming the pet. It's hilarious. It's a laugh a minute, and in fact, we need to find out because somewhere, I remember Anushka saying it is based on a true story. So we've got to be in conversation with her to find out what the real story was all about. Okay, and you said Divya is saying, or Avyukta saying, we carried it on the train too, and we kept on laughing. I hope you managed to get everybody around you laughing as well. We just loved the picture that your mother shared of you guys rushing to Funky Rainbow, buying your tickets to ride. You picked up a whole clutch of books and rushed right to the railway station. We just love these kind of readers. I hope lots of other people were chuckling on the train as well. My next recommendation, this is The Runaway Puppy by Sarang Dev Murthy and illustrated by Bindya Thapar. What a lovely, lovely little picture book this is from Katha, about a little puppy who was white all over and only black on the tips of his ears. I mean, even that description makes you absolutely want to hug that puppy just right away. Now, what did this little puppy like to do? He loved to jump, he loved to lick, he loved to whack his tail. Now, you know what? All the other puppies listened to what their mama was saying. But this one, every time he had to hold, or I mean, he got a chance, he ran off, to lick something because he licked everything he could find. Now, one day, just one day, I mean, and you can see he had many little brothers and sisters. Now, one day, the garden gate was open And you can see Bindya Thapar's beautiful illustrations. And you know what? This little puppy just runs away out of the gate. What happens? What happens? You know, to navigate the world, as a little puppy is not so easy. And he gets rescued. He gets, I won't say rescued. He, falls into a pit, and there's a little boy on his way to school who picks him up. It's a beautiful picture book. And I think Katha has reused it in a couple of other, they have a big book of dogs, a Katha series called The Big Book of Dogs. And, one of the stories in that Big Book of Dogs anthology is The Runaway Puppy. But here it is as a standalone book. And, eventually it is about about the love that a pet brings into your life, yes, but about the responsibilities that you have to, that children too need to have when there's a pet in their lives. And we've heard countless stories, right? Well, we got a pet home, and now it's the mom's or dad's problem. The children are like far and away from it. Mommy, will you make sure that the water is filled? Mommy, will you make sure that the pet has food? But as soon as I come back from school, what I will do is cuddle and play with it, and that's it. My responsibilities end there. This one is a beautiful story about the joys of having a pet, as well as the responsibility of having one. Again, for our youngest readers, I'd say 5 plus, 6 plus, depending on the levels at which they're reading. Nidhi, you're saying this is so cute. Kavita, you're also saying you love the way you go about introducing the books with their "It's my job." It's the only thing that I know how to do well in the world, Kavita. So that is, it's just the sheer pleasure of introducing books to all of you who watch with so much eagerness and with so much love, and who, come to Funky Rainbow to find books for your reading requirements. So that's, just the thing that we love doing at Funky Rainbow. Of course, we did, we've had a dog that we've had dogs. We've had dogs who've thought of themselves as cats. We've had a rooster. But this Hook book, and I love the Hook book series that Duckbills brought out. In this story that is authored by Arundhati Venkatesh, and I know she's hugely popular with a lot of young readers, there's a buffalo that arrives as a pet. How about that? I think that one really takes the cake. It's hilarious. I mean, Arundhati Venkatesh's a brand new book, fairly new book, I Want a Pet, a part of the Hook book series, is set in Punjab, and there is Jasbir, who at the opening of the story, he wants a pet, not a sibling. How many of us know that story, right? I have a friend whose son kept bugging her, saying, "I want a sibling, I want a sibling, I want a sibling." And finally, when he got a sibling, he was like, "Nah, I wish I could have just had a pet." And she's like, "Gosh, all this trouble for just a pet, really." So Jasbir in the story is exactly like that. When the story opens, he's like, "Go away, everybody. I asked for a pet and not a baby." All right. And then, of course, right on the next page, lo and behold, who walks in through Jasbir's door? It's a buffalo, and it's hilarious. The antics of the buffalo are just hilarious. Well, the buffalo, he steps on all of Jasbir's blocks, toys, crunches them, and he's like, "I wonder why it isn't so quite so soft inside the house. Grass. I mean, I thought that's what was going to be there inside the house." And Jasbir was like, "Oh my God, where did this buffalo come from? How am I going to prevent my family members from knowing where this buffaloes come from? How am I going to prevent the buffalo from wreaking havoc in the house?" And the havoc that the buffalo wreaks is just delightful. You will just be laughing, because the buffalo poops. It's eating up all the greens in the kitchen, and it, of course, has to poop. And it actually poops on grandma's carpet. And you are like, "Oh God," Jasbir is like, "I'm just going to get it. Where did this darned buffalo come from?" Really, it's just delightful. Is the buffalo his pet, and what of the sibling, what of the new baby? All through the time that the buffalo is up to its antics in the house, he's like, oh gosh, I hope the baby doesn't get up, I hope the baby is not disturbed from her sleep. And he's Jasbir, just and she is Parminder. Not going to give you anything away, but just one picture to leave you all with: the buffalo, Jasbir, and Parminder. Fabulous, chapter book that we'd recommend for 5+ year olds. Absolutely delightful and enjoyable one. Mutma saying, my work once took me to the hinterland up north, and a Bal Mela. And at a Mela, there was a bhains showing. I was one of the judges. What a delightful beauty contest to judge, honestly. We have that lovely book written and illustrated by Priya Kurian called Beauty is Missing. Not in print, I'm afraid, from Pratham, but we're urging them to print it again. It's a fabulous story about a buffalo who goes missing, much like, and the escapades are quite like what Mutama has just described, where she had to judge a bhains ka contest. You have to write about it, Mutama. It has a place in a book for sure. All right. Another hook book, Passepartout is That You, written by Menaka Raman and illustrated by Gemma Jose. This is also a sweet, sweet book. Now, Sham, this book I had to recommend, even though it's not really about pets, because the book has a Sham and a Mutama. Now, how could I not recommend this in a bazaar that features pets? So, Sham, the protagonist, is sulking much like our Sham always does. And that's because his Tata has to, I mean, he's gone for his vacation, but his Tata is just so busy. Every single day he has to, go to the police station because, he has been, he is well known for having caught the notorious idli thief. You can see who the idli thief is. And there's another thief looming large, and there's been a consignment of pets that have landed up, and Tata is, very, very busy. Now, Sham's really, really worried. Now, he comes to the police station because he finds that Tata is not, spending as much time at home, and he decides that he's going to, land up there. And of course, that consignment of exotic animals. So Tata is like, don't touch any of them. Go away, go away. These are exotic animals. We can't, take them away, because Sham's like, hey, I want one of these animals. Now, what happens is, they manage to take most of the animals away, but there is just one that gets left behind, and that is Passepartout the tortoise. He's a rescued tortoise. Okay, and you know what? So Shams again asking his grandfather, can I take the tortoise? Can we take the tortoise home? And grandpa's like, no, but the tortoise has other plans. He just decides to crawl out of the police station, and Tata is frantic when they can't find him, and Sham is frantic. And you know what Sham does? He decides that he's going to, and he's going to use the police dog and go find Passepartout. And you know who the police dog is? She's Kannamma. It's just hilarious, this story. You have to read it to find out where a Muttamma comes up in the story as well, really. But Passepartout, I love the reason Tata names the tortoise Passepartout, because the Passepartout is a global traveler, much like Passepartout in Around the World in 80 Days. I mean, it's just such a lovely, lovely whole hook book, I'm sorry, meant for 5+ year olds. These hook books are ideal to get children into reading. I mean, if they've been doing picture book reading and you want them to move into reading, novels, then transition them via chapter books, especially like the hook and the whole books. These two wholes we would recommend for 5+ year olds. I'm going to keep a watch on the time because we absolutely want to make sure that we have enough time for our guest, to chat with us today. But we do have a bit of time, so I will continue with my recommendations. There is the next one, this absolutely lovely, lovely new book on our shelves, No Pets Allowed. How many times do you hear this, and how many times do we see this? This is written by Chitra Sounder, illustrated by Faye Austin, and it's got just a perfect premise. Now, Keva, the protagonist of the story, her grandfather runs a pet adoption center. And one time he has to go to the hospital. He absolutely has to go off to the hospital. And everybody at home is really worried. I mean, will Tata recover soon enough, and will Grandpa recover soon enough and come back home? And there's just one thing that Keva knows. Keva knows that nothing can cheer Grandpa up like their tortoise Atlas, the tortoise at the pet adoption center, who's called Atlas. She is dead sure that Tata will recover much, much faster if he sees Atlas. But what happens when he takes Tata? When she takes Atlas to the hospital, what are they saying? No pets allowed. We've heard this as adults. We know other adults who say this. How does Keva get her way around it? Can she persuade the hospital to actually bring in a pet? What happens in the story? You've got to read this charming again, chapter book. This one we'd say for 6+ year olds. These are actually readers, so stepwise, level wise, helping children to improve their vocabulary and reading skills. Mutama saying, "Oh wow, my name in a book, such a delight to know. I must read it. You absolutely must. It's right there on our shelves." I'm already wondering, Rupan Bedi, lovely to have you here this morning. I can imagine that you sniffed out a puppy love bazaar, given how much you love dogs yourself. We've seen pictures and pictures of your furry friends, Rupan, and I'm not surprised you've sniffed this bazaar out. And I just love your comment. I'm already wondering if Muttama is a Rottweiler in this story. Ah, well, we know the people at the receiving end know whether Muttama is a Rottweiler or just a sweet, sweet Dachshund, maybe. You've got to read the story to find out. But the Muttama in that story, I'm not giving away. So both you friends can absolutely enjoy reading this one together. My next set of recommendations is the ever popular Sudha Murthy, and no prizes for guessing which books of Sudha Murthy we are going to recommend. Shall I see whether any of you are going to be able to guess which one it is? I have the books in my hand, but before I lift it up, can I see if anyone's going to type in and guess which books we've put into the Puppy Love Bazaar of Mrs. Murthy's? Just while I take a sip of water, and Muttama's answers don't count. She's like in-house, person. But I'm going to wait to see if anybody puts up a comment. But I will show you these books, hugely popular books. Oh yes, of course, that boy with fastest finger first, absolutely, putting up the answer. Avyukt, absolutely. Gopi Diaries. These are the true inheritors of the work that we are going to do. I keep saying, time to retire, time to let all the younger people, get on this show, because look at the fabulous responses. I can see Avyukt saying Gopi Diaries, Nidhi Agarwal, you run a book club, obviously. Mandira Shah, what a pleasure to see you here. And Arunji, librarians and authors and book clubbers and young children on guessing the names. Kavita, Serpent's Revenge, well, Gopi Diaries, which is a set of books that we absolutely, you must have in your school library. Muttama is promptly reminding me, saying we have autographed copies by the protagonist of the book. What a lovely thing. Indeed, Gopi signed copies of the Gopi Diaries. And the reason we've put this one in, there's the Gopi Diaries Coming Home, there's the Gopi Diaries Finding Love, and there's the Gopi Diaries Growing Up. Three fabulous, chapter books. Little higher than chapter books, I'd say, and so gorgeously illustrated by Sandhya Prabhat. Now, it is the story of, this is Mrs. Murthy's, real pet, and we were at an event when Gopi just trotted up and addressed the audience, much to the delight of the children who were sitting there, who absolutely wanted to go bow wow and woof woof and not respond to anything else. That's where we got Gopi signed, copies of the book. Arun saying, all my kids adored two books. When I met Sudha Murthy ji last time, she got a stamp made of paw. Yes, she carries that paw stamp and she seals the book because children absolutely do want Gopi's autograph on the book. So Gopi Diaries, this is, like I said, Mrs. Murthy's own pet, and the first book about how Gopi comes into their family. And really, readers, young and old, have utterly and absolutely enjoyed the Gopi Diaries. Of course, in the next one, I mean, Gopi is well entrenched in the Murthy household and finds love. Now, what love is this? He has, of course, won the hearts of all family members. And, how does he find, love? What is the love? Is a new dog companion in his life. And the brand new book, which just came out, I think, maybe a month ago. In fact, we have all three books in a box set, isn't it? We have a box set of all three books, which are, the box set is priced cheaper than the three books individually. Now, there's Growing Up, which is the concluding book in this trilogy, where Gopi and his companion, and look at the cover, it's a dead giveaway, right, of what happens when Gopi grows up. But so charming, so delightful, and so much, so beloved. The author's love for her pet, just for Gopi, absolutely just sparkles through the pages of the book. And Sandhya Prabhat's illustration really, bringing each of these books alive. Each one, the books are priced at 399 rupees, and I think the box set is slightly, is it less expensive than, all three books put together? I think it is. My colleague Netra is going to check and get back and let us know. But Coming Home, Finding Love, and Growing Up, three Gopi Diaries books, now in one box set, with this one being the brand new book. So for those of you who said Gopi Diaries eagerly, if you don't have the third one, just ping us on WhatsApp, 99004 and let us know that you want the books. You can also reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. This is still our site goes back up. Muttama saying koi shak. Okay, now I'm not sure kis cheez ka shak hai usme, but koi shak hai hi nahi. Absolutely. I'm going to move to recommending, just watching the time. Sure, we have time for a couple of more recommendations before Soha Ali Khan joins us, to chat with us. But here's a book that we loved when it came out. This is Varsha Sessions, The Clockwala's Clues. We just love the fact that the protagonists of this whole book, the two protagonists, that's Jasmine and Sheba, in their summer holidays, what they want to do is to find foster homes for the strays in Pune. That's where they are, and there are a whole lot of strays on Tippu Gully, which is where the story opens, in Tippu Gully. And you can see Suvida Mistri's illustrations really bringing alive the atmosphere of Puna's little gullies. Now, what they want to do is they want to absolutely find homes for the strays that are roaming around Tippu Gully, but somebody sets them a challenge. This is Jasmine's father. He is the eponymous clockwala of the story. He says, I'm going to set you a series of puzzles to solve, and if you do them on time, you will be able to find foster homes. You can go ahead and find foster homes for the strays on Tippu Gully. It's a beautiful book, and I love these books that kind of keep you turning the pages, because we're checking to see whether the protagonists Jasmine and Sheba can meet Clockwala Uncle's challenges on time. And Clockwala Uncle too, bizarrely beautiful personality. I just love the way Varsha Seshan has brought together so many things: the ambience of the smaller lanes and by lanes of Pune, Clockwala Uncle, Jasmine and Sheba, the strays on the street. It is just a fantastic book, The Clockwala's Clues. Nidhi, you're saying it's a beautiful concept. It indeed is. And it has the kids reading and turning the pages. Ritvika Roy, good morning. Such a pleasure to see you. Love this book. Such a favorite. One of your favorites. Absolutely went past. It was not, we didn't open the bazaar with Duster. We opened with Purple Jojo. But like we say, we don't want to disappoint our reader friends. So Duster was certainly second on the list of recommendations. I have another one, Baby and Dub Dub. It's wonderful how many books of humor there are, because often I find that that's the one that we don't get that many books of nowadays. Lots of serious themes, lots of important issues, but we need to chuckle, we need to laugh, and sometimes laughter really brings children into reading a lot more easily than anything else. And Kaironisa, who's the master of the Butterfingers series of books. I mean, and we've seen her at a Lit Fest where the kids just, I think there were 10 Butterfingers books, and maybe we had 50 copies of each of those books. That's 500 books that just sold out in a jiffy. That's how hugely popular Butterfingers is as a character. And there's Goal Butterfingers, there's How's That Butterfingers, there's Smash It Butterfingers, various sporting stories, which we found that readers 9, 10, 11, 12 just utterly and absolutely loving those stories. And dollops of humor always in Kairunisa's writing. Now in Baby and Dub Dub, which is illustrated by Aryamma Somayaji. It is all Rohan, the protagonist of the book, wants is a dog, with a furry, four-legged friend who barks, who barks and who runs around and plays with him. But you know what happens? He gets a dog, of course, in the story, but he also gets a baby sister. Oof, baby sisters, I can see, are the bane of brothers' lives. And I'm sure the feeling is mutual, vice versa. If there was an older sister and a baby brother, it is just the bane of siblings' life. Kavita is saying, it's high time we do something to take care of the stray dogs. There will be no stray incidents like the recent ones in the news. That is absolutely right. And the ones in the news are quite disturbing. We really, as a civil society, must find a humane solution to this. I mean, putting the dogs down is not the solution, to it. And catching them, capturing them in the most sort of frightening sort of ways is definitely not the solution. We have to figure out how we can foster them, how we can have them in homes, and how people can bring them into their homes, so that we don't have a stray dog menace. But to come back to Baby and Dub Dub, I mean, Rohan in this at the start of the story cannot hide his disappointment when his parents tell him he's going to have a new sibling, and he's like, "No, I wanted a four-legged friend, not a sibling." The four-legged friend comes in, but so does a baby sister. Now, this baby sister is baby Sheila, and just like all babies are, want to do. My God, she's cheerful, but she is absolutely the noisiest girl in town, just like many, many baby sisters are. Now, what happens? What happens? So the dog is Dub Dub. And Rohan and Dub Dub are the best of friends. How is Dub Dub going to respond to Sheila? How is Rohan going to manage Sheila and Dub Dub, the affections of Sheila and Dub Dub? And do they all get into some kind of trouble? Well, you have got to read this hilarious story. I mean, in true blue Kaironisa humor in the story, and, which will have you chuckling. And, I love the way she, says it. She says, in one of the pages in the book, she says, love is love, whether it is four legged or crawling on all fours. That's what the story is all about. You've got to read this delightful book to find out. We'd say 7+ year olds. Avyuk saying, yes, auntie, especially if your sister is learning karate and also practices it on you. Absolutely. I can imagine that you are the victim of many such karate kicks, Avyukt, but you know what? I'm on your sister's side. While I'm always on your side, this time I'm on your sister's side. Brothers deserve some karate kicks for sure. And Nidhi is saying, yes, putting them down is the saddest thing ever. Really, there can certainly be a more humane solution. Okay, it's almost time for us to bring our guest of the day in. So I'll close with one book for older readers, which came into our collection just a couple of weeks ago. And it is the most, it's part of the Puffin Classics series. And I just loved reading this translation. It is Arupa Patanjia Kalita's Tanya. What a phenomenal book translated from the Assamese. I mean, those of you who've been watching the Bazaar for 2 years know I have a great weakness for translations. And this one, I mean, it's just utterly, apparently, and I have to read and research a bit more on Arupa Patanjia Kalita, because apparently this is the only children's book that she has written. And it's been translated from the Assamese by Meenakshi Barkotoki, and it has an introduction by Janvi Barua. But it's such a delightful story because you know what? Tanya is a really, really naughty dog. And Tanya gets her way always. Everybody loves her. In fact, everybody in the family that she is with loves her so much that she gets Hilsa fish to eat every single day. She will only eat Hilsa fish and rice. And I love dogs that have that personality and that attitude. Now, what makes Tanya special? So, Arunab, her, the little boy in her life, he plays the mouth organ, and he's convinced that Tanya is singing, in her own way to the accompaniment of that mouth organ. There's another section which I just loved in the story because she's a dog and she can detect a fake Murray biscuit from a real one. Much needed resource in any household, I say. And she is just an absolute bundle of joy and talent. Now, this is Kalita's only children's novel to date. It's a timeless classic in Assamese, and I'm so delighted that we have an English translation of Tanya for, we would say, 9+ year olds will absolutely enjoy, this story. Some pictures, but higher text, 9 or 10 years old. The thing is, Tanya, in fact, is a Bhutanese German Shepherd, I think. Yeah, that's what it is. He's. Let me just tell you whether I got the breed of Bhutanese Cocker Spaniel. Sorry, a Bhutanese Cocker Spaniel. And in the story, Tanya's journey from Bhutan to Assam, evokes the landscapes of the northeast of India so beautifully. This book I would highly recommend. And, it's great that we introduce our young readers to classics from our regional languages. It is, I mean, I have to do more research on the writer myself to find out, who this person is and what their contribution to Assamese literature is. But I'm so delighted that we have a children's book that we can read by the master writer, translated from the Assamese. So, with that, we close our recommendations and we get ready to welcome our guest for the day. I'm going to check with Sham, if not so has not yet come in. She said she would join us 5 minutes prior to the show, but we're also going to have to try to connect on Instagram. So all of you watching, get a sip of water, take a breather from all these recommendations. I mean, there was one more book that I had to recommend, but I didn't for the lack of time. But it's also one that has our heart at Funky Rainbow, Chitti, written by Sero and illustrated by the one and only Rajiv Aip. I mean, Rajiv's illustrations just bring books alive in wondrous ways. I mean, I really have to say, how much his illustration makes a difference to the story. And, this free spirited dog who lives on a forest farm in the Western Ghats, all the hair raising adventures of Chitti, so beautifully illustrated by Rajiv Vaip while bringing alive the landscapes so wonderfully. You will laugh with Chitti, you will cry with Chitti. And, I know this was on the Parag, honor list as well. Beautiful book, a book that absolutely warms the cockles of any reader's heart. We would say 8 plus, 9 plus, depending on, the levels at which your children are reading. But, the extraordinary loyalty and love and wisdom that a dog has and brings into your life is on glorious display in this book that is written by Sero and illustrated by Rajiv Aip. Sham, is Soha in? Okay, all right. So why we are going to wait for her, but I would like for all of you to share till Soha joins us and we connect on Instagram as well. What are your favorite doggy books, doggy kitty books? I mean, give us a few names. Tell us one or two. Share some. Interesting anecdotes that you've had with your pets or wanting pets. I mean, because one of the things that Soha did mention when we were chatting yesterday was that often the block between a child and a pet is the adult. So, have you had any experiences of or children? I know there are many watching the show as well. Have you had the experience of not not getting a pet, or as an adult, have you not let your child get a pet? Please share some of those anecdotes. We would be delighted to sort of recount them at the end of the show. Ritvika Roy saying the dogs in Blighton. And yes, the dogs in Enid Blighton, of course, utterly, utterly adorable. And Nidhi saying, can we have another one from you, please? Another book to recommend? Well, tons and tons of them. But Sham tells me Soha has joined us. So we'll say hello to her on Be Live and then connect on Instagram and get chatting, because this is the bow wow part of the show, folks. So just hang on for a bit till we get connected. Hey, Soha.
Hi, Vidya. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just going to I can't seem to hear you very clearly, so not your not your system, that's mine. I'm just going to get that thing set up properly and say hello to you, because I absolutely am not able to hear. Just hang on a second. What should it? Oh, it's on headphones. Okay, got it. I have to move it to Realtek. Okay, can you just say hello?
Hello, can you hear me? How are you?
Absolutely. What a warm welcome to you in our Puppy Love Bazaar. We couldn't bring a better guest into the show today because your wonderful books, the Inni and Bobo books, are just all about that love of our four-legged furry friends. And I can't tell you how eagerly our audience is waiting to chat with you, Soha.
I'm very, very happy to be here. I have really, it's very new to be a children's book author for both Kunal and myself, but we're so glad that we took that step and we're having lots of fun. And of course, we are big dog lovers, getting to know other animals as well, not totally
Uh-huh.
cats and kittens and hamsters, but we have a special connection with dogs, yes.
Super. Can we do the Instagram connect so
Yes.
our fans on Instagram as well can watch? Are you going to send us an invite? Because that's what
So
Samruddhi had said. Do
uh,
you want?
she said just go live from your page, so I can go live from my page, and I think you guys join or something.
Okay, how do you want to send out an invitation and see if she can connect? We're just going to take a minute to do this, Soha, before I introduce you.
So now I'm live.
Okay. Shams, you've sent out an invitation, isn't it? To okay, one sec, just a second, please. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all, I know, have been posting a whole host of comments all this while. I'm sure you have tons of questions for Soha as well. We have 30 minutes, so do put in your questions and we'll get as many responded to as we can. Have you sent out the invitation? Um, has it gone out? Uh, Okay. Okay. So for people who are watching our Instagram, we're going to stop our stream and join Soha's stream. So just give us a minute till we get, onto her stream. But for all the people watching on Facebook and YouTube, we will continue with it. Just try to connect our stream. Yeah, you can go off and then I'll start introducing Soha to the audiences who are watching now and Instagram can then join up. So, ladies and gentlemen, Soha Ali Khan. I mean, she's an actress, she's an animal lover, the author of a hugely popular book for adults, called The Perils of Being Moderately Famous, and now the author of two wonderful children's books that are part of the Inni and Bobo series. I mean, Soha has fantastic pedigree. She studied modern history at Balliol College, Oxford. I mean, this is like dream cred basically for all of us. And then she went on to do an MA in international relations from the London School of Economics and Political Science. But we have her here today. Primarily because she has these fantastic picture books, the Inni and Bobo picture books. Inni and Bobo find each other. Inni and Bobo go to the park, which is co-authored with her husband, Kunal Kemu, written for their daughter. And it's all about loving your furry friends, four-legged furry friends unconditionally. And we're going to have Soha chatting with us on how she pulled off. I mean, I'm absolutely amazed, Soha. How do you wear all these hats? I mean, you are an actress, you are, a mom, you are a writer for adults, you are a writer of children's books, you're a fitness enthusiast. I mean, I have many friends telling me, do you know that Soha is a huge fitness enthusiast? I want to say, how do you juggle all these roles and which is the one that you enjoy the most?
Firstly, I just want to check in terms of audio, we're okay because now you've joined the live as well.
Okay.
We're speaking also on this forum, so I hope that the sound is clear.
You may need to reduce the volume on your phone.
I've dropped
Is it possible?
three down to zero.
It's absolutely down to zero. Is there like a feedback? Are you getting feedback? Because we are getting none at all over here.
I'm fine.
Okay, so we're good as far as audio goes. Are we okay? Are you seeing that audio is fine? There's a bit of an echo on the Instagram. So is it just volume, or have you turned down all the all the audio on the phone, Soha?
I don't even know what that means. Would you? I've just heard.
Yeah, okay. So that's two somewhat clueless people talking to each other about audio and such problems. But there's other ringtones on the phone as well, which may be causing some kind of feedback. But let's chat because we can see, our audiences are waiting, and I can already see a bunch of questions coming up. So go ahead, tell us how you juggle all these hats.
I think for me, ever since I became a mother, that did become a little bit of a priority. It does tend to supersede other identities. And I have to confess that at least for the first 2 years, I lost all other identities. I became a terrible mother, a terrible wife. I became a terrible daughter. I became a terrible sister, a terrible friend. Probably, it was hard to find me because I became so obsessed with this new creation. It took 2 years, and I would like to think that I'm not the only one out there who goes through some kind of transition period, for me to find my feet and for me to go back to multitasking. After 2 years, I managed to get back to work, post which I did two shows and then a movie. I managed to get the adult book written while I was pregnant.
Ah,
After which we did, come back to writing. I have called friends and apologized and said I'm open to having dinner again, and maybe we can go on holiday again soon. Apologized many times to my husband as well. So finding my feet now, and I think people say that women are born multitaskers. I don't think that that's true. I think I've always been the kind of person to do one thing well at a time. So even when it comes to writing, I like to do my writing at 10 p.m. To 2 a.m. when the house
oh,
is
wow.
asleep. More difficult now when you have a child who wakes up at 6:55 a.m.
Oh,
So
gosh.
change that as well. But 10 to 12 maybe is when I do my best writing.
Super. And any role that you enjoy the most of all, quite clearly being mum to Inaya is the role that you seem to love the most,
But
right?
it's challenging and the most rewarding because you can physically see the consequences of your actions on a person. You can see the, for lack of a better word, the return on your investment. And I do think that the more involved you are as a parent, it's a good thing. Of course, you don't want to be like a helicopter mother. You don't want to control your child. They should have free will to a certain extent. You should say yes and no and all of that. But I think being involved and having daily conversations with them, especially once they start going to school, is very important because there's so much that is going through their minds. You need to keep up, and you need to reinforce values, and a little bit of brainwashing also has to happen every day.
Good, candid revelation. I probably many mothers, teachers, librarians agreeing with you right there that a bit of brainwashing definitely needed. Of course, I've been talking about the Inni and Bobo books to our audience, but why don't you tell us, about the beautiful Inni and Bobo picture books? I mean, it's a completely different ball game altogether. Yes, to write the picture books. Tell us a bit about the books and why you chose to write them.
I actually have to confess that the idea didn't come from me. It came from Kunal, who is not much of a reader himself. So
Okay.
when it came to bedtime, we have a ritual of reading three stories every night. And I used to take three books from the bookshelf, when I gets to choose three stories from the bookshelf, and we read them. But when it came to Kunal's turn, he said, "I don't want to read." I think he was too lazy to get up and walk over to the bookshelf. But I enjoy creating stories. So he would just come up with something off the top of his head, and she would be, just engrossed. Because then we weren't turning pages. She was just looking at his face, and he was performing and changing his voice, and she was enthralled. And I kept saying, the idea is for you to put her to bed, not for you to excite her. But she really enjoyed this story of Inni and Bobo in particular. And we thought,
Okay.
why make it into just print it out and give it to her on her birthday. And then we thought, why not actually go wider and actually share this with a wider audience? And we had a good relationship with Penguin, our publishers. And so we decided to go with them and put it out there for others who might want to read similar stories.
Okay. All right. I know Sham's interrupting me to say that the Instagram. So, shall we log off our Instagram? I mean, would that make it easier, or is it coming from her end because she doesn't? I mean, we don't know what needs to be done, honestly, right? Uh, so, should we? I don't know if it helps if we. Is it possible to mute one of the devices, Soha?
I'm trying. Where do I go to
Oh,
mute
yeah,
it?
you're absolutely now no feedback coming in. I don't know what's causing the problem, but it's okay now. It's working now. So we'll just leave it till the the thing
But
comes
that's
up.
because I went off my Instagram page to try and mute it. But when I go back,
Oh. Ah, all right. So yeah, I
I,
don't know what's causing the problem, Sham. So we're just going to go on with it. If it gets, I think for fans on people watching on Instagram, there may be some kind of feedback on the show, but I hope you're able to hear us, clearly while we're chatting. I'm going to ask you one or two questions before I go on to my own. Where Arun Ji, who's a librarian in Hyderabad, he says it's very difficult writing for young readers because it's difficult to keep their attention to the story. Did you face similar challenges when you're writing these when you were writing the books as well? And I mean, two books at that. So what were some of the challenges that you faced while writing it?
I think for me, one of the major challenges was co-writing with somebody, because the earlier book was just me writing by myself. Um, but when it came to writing with Kunal, who has a different style of writing, who, this feedback is bothering me now.
Yes. Shall we go off the Instagram stream if that's easier? Sorry, for people watching on Instagram, if you can move to Funky Rainbow's Facebook
Feel great.
page, and to our YouTube channel. We are called The Funky Rainbow on Facebook, and we are Funky Rainbow on YouTube. You can watch in either of those two places, but there's just some terrible feedback on Instagram, and I'm really sorry that we have to go off that feed for the moment. If you can't join on any other social media, please come back and watch the videos up on our YouTube channel when you can. This section of the conversation will be recorded and will be up there as early as in the next half an hour. Thank you, and sorry about this glitch.
Yeah, sorry guys, but you can continue this conversation if you want to. Then you can go to the Traveling Bookshop's YouTube page or Facebook page, and we'll.
Absolutely.
So this will end. So now at least we can hear each
Yes.
other. Very
Yes.
pleased.
Yes. So you were talking about the challenges,
I
right?
think
Yeah.
the challenge are when you're writing with somebody who has a particular style of writing, and it may be different to your style of writing. And I had to be cognizant of the fact that I'm writing for an age group between the ages of 2 and 6. So
Right.
not very fancy words, no onomatopoeia, and like the kind of sentence construction that I was trying to build into my adult book. I wanted it to be something that children engage with, that, firstly, they're able to listen to for the 5 minutes that it takes, that it brings out certain emotions in them, whether
Mhm.
it's excitement, whether it's a little bit of trepidation or fear, whether it's sadness. They can learn a couple of words, of course. It should also teach them something. And if there's a lesson in there, it was not necessary for us to have a lesson. But I did feel that if there can be something that they learn, that's just sort of a bonanza, like a it's so the message was not really a priority. We just wanted it to be an engaging story, and we thought adventures that a young girl and an adopted puppy can go on are innumerable. At one point,
Absolutely.
I thought this could be our retirement fund, and we can just stop working and make lots of money. But I don't think that it's a very lucrative
Uh,
profession.
children's books, you just
Yeah,
forget in that world, there's no money at all.
yeah. This, this has come to light, so it's a passion project now.
In fact, one of the questions, I mean, just leading from what Arun's put out over there, is that you co-wrote the books with your husband. I mean, you guys, you live under the same roof, you work out under the same roof, you look after your child under the same roof, you look after a pet under the same roof, and now you're co-writing a book with your husband. I mean, you're giving us couple goals that are, I think, impossible to meet, really.
Oh, I
What was that process like, Suha?
It is, I mean, I don't know how honest I should be. It's not fun and games. And I very, we've had arguments over, the way that it needs to go, because I like to describe. I have a descriptive style of writing, and Kunal is very to the point. Uh, I truly believe, and I'm being very kind and very generous because I feel the need to, since he's not here, I think he was here, kind and generous. He is very talented when it comes to coming up with the idea, and when it comes to getting the emotional beats of the story right.
Ah.
Um, I would like to say that if he was here, he would say, I'm very good at uh, writing and, like just vocabulary and like maybe a certain style that I have to writing. I think that when it comes to children's books, I had to change that style of mine. And that
Okay.
is, it really helped to work with someone like Kunal who said, this is great for you and maybe for your audience in the past, but it's really, doesn't work. Like, I think he might have at some point said, you sucked the life out of the story. What do you mean? I'm an Oxford graduate. I can only make the story better. And he was like, no, you can actually make it a lot worse. So conversations like that. And we're still together. You
And two books down.
two books
So
third has been written. The third one has been written. So, I think we might need to be in therapy soon. But, it's definitely a challenge. But I think it has only made us stronger.
see, children's books, the world of children's books, it's just keeping people happy and it's keeping them together. you know, the children's writer Ramendra Kumar, who's written some wonderful books for children himself, he's asking, what did you enjoy most about writing these books? What was the part that you enjoyed the most of all? And another writer who's watching says, what did your daughter enjoy the most about these books?
The second one is easier because she just enjoyed seeing herself
Ah.
as the main character, in the book. And she was like, hey, that's my dress. And Innie is nice. And she's called Innie. Um, I'm the hero of the story.
Ah.
So she definitely enjoyed, you know, being the focal point of this. And I remember when we went for the book launch, I was getting dressed up and she was also getting dressed up. And then when we met each other at the front door, and she said, why are you so dressed up? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, I'm the hero of the story. What are you getting dressed up for? I was like, just the author, just the co-author. Um, and it was funny. But so she definitely enjoyed, the story being based around her and also giving inputs. There were lots of times when, we're addressing 2 to 6 year olds and she's in that target group more than us. So I said, what kind of adventure should Inni and Bobo have next? And she gave ideas.
Ah.
And that was very helpful. What I enjoyed writing was just being able to write something that was only 1,000 words as a novel. So that was fun. And then it can also be, I don't know how many stories you've actually read to children. They are quite an unforgiving audience.
Right.
They're not polite. They're not going to sit through and scroll through a phone quietly and pretend to look interested. If they don't like it, they'll walk away. They'll start
Just
eating their, they'll dig their noses, and like you've lost them. Some of them have gone to sleep as well. Uh, so I don't know what I've liked the most. I just have really enjoyed, I think, capturing something like this. I just enjoy having books on the shelf and I can say this is for posterity. This is something that we've created together as a family. Inaya, myself, Kunal, Masti, our dog, we all
that's
made this
right.
together and it'll be there forever.
Ah, so lovely, so very lovely. And it's such a, Vijay says, what a beautiful way to connect. And for her to be part of something that you're doing, children just absolutely, really love it. I'm just saying, full use of in house resources, Soha, like, right? That's the, the best support that any writer can get. I mean, we've been talking to various parents who've, picked up copies of the book and several others that we've recommended on the theme of pets. And, each one of them says that a pet makes us a better person. I mean, you have a friend whom you love, who loves you unconditionally. And, you in the process develop empathy, compassion, and all of this so integral to emotional well-being, right? I mean, do you agree? I mean, you've had a pet. The book, as you say, was dedicated to your late pet Masti,
Yes.
so is dedicated to Masti. So do you feel that this is true?
I have always grown up with pets, especially dogs. Also, some geese at some point, some rabbits, which started off when then there were 200, which tells. Uh, I feel like you have to respect animal life and pets.
Mhm.
They're not toys, and that needs to be underlined. You cannot get them and then forget about them like you do with a soft toy. You can't put them away, when your friend comes over, or so you have to be cognizant of all of that. You have to know that it's a living being, that there will be expenses that come with this. There'll be health expenses, there'll be food expenses, and you have to be ready. Like when you go into being a parent, you must, it's not for everyone. You know,
Yes.
people during the lockdown also understood that there was some value in having someone at home. But when the lockdown ended, there were so many abandoned animals.
Yeah, that's right.
People
Yeah.
go back to their normal lives. And I would say if that's something that you feel you might do, then don't go there because
Right.
they truly feel abandoned. We
Right.
worked a lot with organizations like Friendicos in Delhi and World for All in Mumbai. And, if you feel like you want to contribute just to make the world a better place, you can contribute monetarily, you can contribute with your time, you can foster if you feel like you can't adopt, etc., etc. But I feel like if you are someone who would benefit from a pet, there's so many ways. Uh, it is unconditional love, like you said.
Hmm.
You can go away for a week, you can go away for an hour, and they'll be there at the door waiting for you. I'm talking mainly about dogs again because that's my experience. Uh,
Hmm.
they miss you and they love you unconditionally. They uplift your mood. Not all
Mm.
dogs, but they do connect with their owners and their families. And I found it very difficult to be sad around Masti because it's just something happens to you. There's a chemical reaction, or you can't just wallow, you have to engage with them. Even we got two dogs into my mother's life, and she was never a dog person at all, and now they sleep on her bed and she's completely transformed. And she says the time between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the evening, where she was feeling a little like, I don't really know what to do with my,
Right.
it's now such a busy time because it's, they feed, they go for a walk, you're doing so much, and you don't really feel lonely.
Yeah.
But as I said, it is a responsibility. And ever since we lost Musty, uh,
Hmm.
taken another pet because
Right.
is not ready at this point. He's still very much grieving.
Hmm.
And we want Inaya to be a little older because this
Hmm.
is do want her to have, but we want her to be more actively involved in
Hmm.
in taking, that dog for walks, in spending time and actually grooming and doing all the things that, we did with Musty.
Very, very well said. That part that you said about filling your time. I mean, they just you have to pay attention to them. I know, Sham would say that when he finished his day's work and went back home, his dog would take off his socks, like pull off the socks from the shoes and put them away, saying, "That's it now. The time is, just it's for you to spend with me, really, right?" And dogs are just lovely like that. I can see Vijay saying dogs understand us and our emotions so well. Ramendra Kumar saying we need to respect animal life. Touche, that's the right thing. I want you to read a short excerpt from either one of the Ini and Bobo books. Soha, would you like to do that?
Sure. I haven't chosen what part to read.
Yeah.
This one, when they Inni and Bobo find each other, is the first in the series where Inni actually goes to find her best friend at the adoption center. And she goes with her parents and they say, you can choose one. And she actually wants to take all of them, and they explain to her why that's not possible. Um, and this is a part where she goes inside the pen. As soon as Inni was inside the pen, all the dogs jumped around her, licking her face and wanting to be petted by the tiny human who had come to visit them. Inni was delighted with the attention and happy to play with them all, but she continued her search for the perfect pup, her new best friend. Far away from all the fun and excitement, curled up in the corner, was a small brown ball. As Inni walked up to him, he started to shiver and quickly covered his eyes with his paws, trying to hide. It was the scruffy little puppy. Inni picked him up gently and carefully, making sure not to hurt him, and held him close to her. His heart was beating so loudly in her chest, she was sure she could hear it. As Mama and Papa walked up to her, Inni said, he looks scared. Like me, when I'm in a room with too many people I don't know. Mama and Papa looked at Inni and the puppy and remembered how shy their baby girl had been until just a few months ago. But when Mama holds me close to her, I don't feel scared anymore. That's true, Inni, Mama said, smiling. Where is his Mama? Inni asked. He has lost his Mama, Inni, Papa said. All the dogs here have lost their parents and are looking for new families. I just wanted to read that part, just
Yeah.
to indicate how sometimes when you go into a new space, also, not all the dogs are comfortable. Some of them feel nervous, some of them feel scared. And even when we adopt, we tend to go for the quote unquote cutest, best
Hmm.
behaved. youngest, most fun, most well. And what I have most respect for are those people who adopt the ones who are not well, who are older,
Absolutely.
who cannot see properly, who cannot walk properly, because it does take a lot of effort, and it is such a thankless job, because you're giving so much of yourself, and you know that you perhaps even may not have this animal around for that long, and it will be heartbreaking. And my father taught me, when he said why it's important to have an animal in your life or a pet in your life, is because you will outlive that pet, and it teaches children about the lesson of death, and it's a tough lesson, but
It's a
it really
tough
helps
one,
them
yeah.
to understand it and to go through it. So that's why we saw many pets pass away, and it's not fun at all, of course. uh,
Yes.
Very sad, but somewhere it just you understand what death is, that somebody goes away and they don't come back, and these conversations can be very difficult to have, but when
Yes.
they happen in your life, then you just start, you understand them.
Ah, I see that a couple of people have shared their experiences. Reena Khurana was saying that she lost her pet as well, and I mean, it's yes, I mean, emotions, they are real. These are real emotions, and I think animals, that we have as part of our families, and animals really, teach us how to experience that entire rainbow of emotions. Right?
Yeah.
There's absolute happiness. There is conflict. There are highs and lows, and how we can kind of deal with it. Apurva Ashok runs a book club in Bangalore, and she says, I used the first Inni and Bobo book for my creative writing workshop so that children would observe the writing techniques. Children loved the way feelings were described, and Bobo was adopted, not shopped. Excellent observation. Yeah.
No, thank
Uh,
you. I think that was it. Like in terms of words that help you describe your feelings are so important, because as you said, there's an array of emotions. And if you can describe what you're feeling, even as a child to your parent, if you can put your finger on it for self awareness, it's so important. To say that I'm feeling embarrassed, or I'm feeling shy, or I'm feeling scared, or I'm feeling hungry, or, to understand that is half the battle.
Right. Really, that's so true. Mutama, who's a co-founder at Funky Rainbow, is saying that she's sorry to hear about the loss of Masti, and she's a huge dog lover herself. Many, many dogs at home, and the dog woman of our office. When I started the show, I said when Mutama buys books for her family and her girls, there's always separate copies bought for the dogs. So I wouldn't be surprised if her doggies got autographed copies of Inni and Bobo. Specially put aside. I can see Chandra Subramaniam saying that you read so well, Soha. I'm sure my granddaughter will absolutely love listening to you. She's
Thank
my
you.
aunt. And I love full family support like this on the show. We shall make sure, Perima, that these autograph books reach my lovely niece very, very soon. I'm going to ask you. You mentioned your father, you mentioned your mother. I mean, you really come from a family of readers, right? Your parents, your siblings. I mean, they've often spoken or written about being so engrossed in books. Was this true of you too? And are there any wonderful books that you remember from your childhood, or even now that you've been reading to your daughter?
I have to cast my mind way back. And when we used to read that, I remember, of course, life was so different then. There was no 24/7 entertainment channels, there was no iPads and phones. So if we were bored, firstly, bored was not a word that we were allowed to use. It was a bad
Absolutely.
word to be bored when there's so much to do. And books are, just leave you without an excuse. It's a wonderful world out there. And it's so I still remember recently reading a book and not wanting to meet my friends for dinner because I wanted to finish the book. It's really, if you find the right book for you,
Wow.
you're lost to the world until it's done. When I was young, I think of things like George Orwell, I think of like O. Henry, I think of Enid Blyton, of course. But now when I read some of the Enid Blytons to Inaya, I find that they're quite strict.
Yes.
She's always like, what? And I was like, see, there's this mama. And if you're not nice to your mama, then, the mama goes away. And a new, not very nice mama comes. And she's like, what? I try to hear some of them. And we bring them out occasionally. And I never chooses to read them when I'm like, will we read this? And she's like, no, no, let's read something else. You know, when I was older, Nancy Drews and Judy Blooms. and things like that, again, that come to mind. Famous Five, again, in Enid Blyton, I think.
Yeah,
You know, so there was lots of literature. Now I feel like it's amazing the kind of literature, and you've referred to
absolutely.
the access that we have, not only to international literature, but now there's so many wonderful Indian authors as well.
Yes,
Libraries and schools being open again because we went through a lockdown, to have access
absolutely.
not only to buy but to borrow wonderful books and to be in touch. I think after being an author, one of the best things that happens is that people send you books, um,
Right,
and especially again children's books. So a lot of things are arriving, whether it's from Ruskin Bond or Sudha Murthy, or there's lots of people that I don't remember the names to, but the Grand Chapati contest that
oh
Inaya.
lovely, Asha Nehmaya.
Yeah, they're lovely. So many, um, and that we've read together, and they're lovely and they resonate, of course, as well.
Absolutely.
Learns to swim is something that we were reading the other day. So there's and what is nice again is that there's so many complex issues that children deal with, and some people don't know how to have conversations with 5-year-olds. They can be,
Right.
and you don't know what is the right thing to say, and you don't want to scar them for life by saying the wrong thing. And there's literature. We read a really nice book about same-sex couples as well.
Ah, that's
About
right.
penguins. And it's called Three to Tango.
Ah,
And it was so nice because you just understand that sometimes people, we choose different people that they fall in love with, and there's so much out there. Uh,
absolutely,
and
absolutely. So well said. I'm delighted that you are able to recall the stories of many of these Indian children's books because you're speaking of Grand Chapati Contest or a whole bunch of other ones that we feel that they really connect and resonate with Indian readers, very well, and I think internationally as well. And I completely agree with your Enid Blyton. We are all products of a British era, so those were the books that we had to read. And I remember another friend of mine, a writer, saying to me, man, they were always going off on picnics and opening scones and clotted cream and tongue and ham. And you went off on a picnic and what you got was upma and you
yeah,
got like,
like, I mean, Kunal used to go on picnics in Kashmir, and they used to take out dum aloo, and they used to take out pickles and big food in picnics. It was like gas stoves and all. It was just a different course, and nobody even knows what a picnic in a garden looks like.
so delighted that younger readers today, and I mean no I mean read the Blytons, read the
Yeah.
Judy Blooms, read the Famous Fives and all of that, absolutely fine, but
And
delighted that young readers have
the
a better.
taking the classic storybooks and turning them on their head and giving it a sort of feminist or equal gender role, because we do, and I has read a lot of Sleeping Beauties and Cinderellas, and she went a little googly eyed and she was like, oh, thinking about boys in her class, and I was like, that's frozen, because you don't need a man to save you, and
Yeah.
all these things have such an impact,
Yeah.
and such a subliminal impact on children. Literature is content.
Absolutely. Rupan, who joins us all the way from Chandigarh, another huge pet lover, was saying something to Rima Khurana, which I think will be relevant to you as well. She says, so sorry for your loss, but do get another one. Not a replacement, but a balm. I've been in your shoes, and trust me, it will help. I'm sure you'll have more love within you to give another dog a loving home. And we hope, Kunal and you and Inaya will get there very, very soon.
I think I and I are there. We're just waiting for Kunal.
Ah. Of course, I mean, there's lots of adults watching, and we've been talking about accepting adults, but often, and like you pointed out yesterday, the barrier between a child and a pet is often the adult, really, right?
Yes.
And we've got lots of adults watching our show today. So, what would you like to tell them about considering their child's request to bring a pet home?
I feel like, it's a broader issue. There are lots of parents who actually don't entertain many children's requests. And sometimes those children's requests might be like, I want to be a unicorn when I grow up, or, I want this, that, and the other, which it's not important to say yes to all the time. But I find that we say no a lot.
Ah,
And sometimes it's nice that they're heard. And this is me speaking to myself, because sometimes Anaya wants to go to bed later than 7:30, and I've become very,
tough
extreme
about it.
bedtime. I don't know, something happens to me at 7:30 p.m. where I'm like, close your eyes. And she's like, eyes, but I'm not going to go to sleep. And I'm like, you will. Just close your eyes. On Saturday, if she goes to sleep at 8:30, it won't destroy me. It'll be fine. She'll be fine. okay for her to choose what she wants to eat for a meal. Of course, when it comes to taking a pet in, it's a big decision.
That's
And for you,
right.
for your child, you have to listen to your child and understand whether this is something that they really want and something that you can also accommodate, because it takes a family, especially if your child is young. When they're older and they're a teenager, they can pretty much look after that pet by themselves. But you do need people at home to help you. It's not a single, they'll be going to school, etc., for most of the day. So someone else will
Absolutely.
also be doing a lot of the work. So, but be open to it, I would say. Think about why you're saying no. What is it? What is your own personal obstacle? Is it, that you had a pet in the past and you're not ready to do that again? And perhaps you can open out your heart. We tend to have our hearts broken. It does only make us stronger. And
Oh,
what's the
well said.
we don't show love and kindness, and especially when there's so many dogs and cats and animals that need homes. It's not
Foster
that you're
homes.
creating an animal. They are those that need you. So if you can take them in, why not? Unless you're really someone who feels you won't be able to do justice to it, you won't be
Look
able,
after.
and then please don't.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Viji, just putting out a bit of information saying, I must share here, Soha, that when I was teaching in British School, New Delhi, you and your sister Saba were my students there. Like, right? Look at that small world. And she's a
Wow.
children's writer too, and
I,
wonderful books of nature that she's written for young readers. And she's, of course, saying FR has the best, Funky Rainbow has the best collection for children. We completely agree, Vijay Lakshmi. And Arun saying that, I'm sorry.
I think this is such a nice forum to meet people. Also about our
Uh,
books.
Absolutely, absolutely. The best way to bond really with people, I think, or rather the only way that Funky Rainbow knows. And Arun saying that I always tell my students that I'm so jealous of this generation because they have amazing books by writers in the Indian context. And there's another one saying our daughter wanted a horse as a pet. The best thing we could do was to send her to riding school where she spent some time with horses.
Yes, that's a good compromise. It's also very easy to go to riding school.
I can well imagine. We were recommended a book as part of our setting where there's Jasbir in this book called I Want a Pet, who gets a buffalo for a pet.
Wow. Doesn't get but yeah,
It is, well, pets of all shapes and sizes, but, absolutely lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I mean, there's a spree of questions, but I know we have limited time. It's been such a pleasure, a candid chat, telling us really telling us all the things that go behind writing of a book, bringing up a child, living in under the same roof with a partner with whom you've co-written the books. It's just been a fabulous conversation so far.
thank you, Vin.
And
Let's do it again.
absolutely, we're waiting for more Inni and Bobos. I say garner full support from all family members and
The
make
third
sure.
one, we've just written the third one, and it's doing the whole now editing.
Can we have you tell our audience what the title of the third one is?
We're actually coming up with the title, but it's set in her school. So it might
Ah.
be as simple as Indian Bobo go to school, but it's about, bring your pet to school day.
Oh, lovely. So you heard that first on FR, folks. There's Ini and Bobo find each other, where Ini and Bobo literally find each other at the adoption center. Then there's Ini and Bobo go to the park. These wonderful books up here. Do WhatsApp us. You know how to reach us. I mean, there are several modes to reach us. Do pick up the books for your children, for your schools, for your libraries, just to read for yourself as well, because they're so charming, they're so delightful, and they make you absolutely realize why a four-legged friend is the best sort of friend that you can have. So
Might be three-legged.
ah, yes, three-legged, two-legged, because we had a book with a rooster as a pet as well. So two-legged pets as well. And Soha, for you, we hope these books are dog-eared in several people's houses. I mean, read over and over and over again, waiting eagerly for the third one. If you happen to be in Bangalore, please do come to Funky Rainbow. We'd be delighted to get signed copies of the book
I would
and send them out to all the people who've been watching you at the show today. Thank you.
thank thank you, Vidya.
Such a pleasure. We'll
Thank,
be in touch.
thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. So lovely that conversation with Soha. I can see so many of you saying, "What a lovely morning!" And thank you, Soha and Efa, Ramendra Kumar, Apurva Ashok. It's just, been a wonderful session with Soha Ali Khan. We have had such a great time chatting with her. These two books, our website down at the moment. And like I said, it's going to take 2 weeks at least to get back up again because we're building it. And this whole year, we're going to kind of revamp the website into a resource that everybody can use on Indian children's books. However, just to get the e-commerce part up, I'm assuming is going to take us 2 weeks at least. But you can reach out to us, on Facebook, on Instagram, our WhatsApp number 99004956665. Do get in touch to receive, to order any of the books that you have liked as part of the show. And we absolutely, are waiting to hear from you. I can see Kavita saying every moment this morning was heartwarming. Love the bow wow moments. Absolutely. You added to it too, Kavita and Rima Khurana. Wonderful conversation. We really hope, like Rupan Bedi said, there's going to be a new pet in your life and your heart very, very soon. I'm just going to say thank you to all the people who joined us this morning. There's been a whole host of you, and I'm afraid for our friends on Instagram, you're going to have to watch this recording either on Funky Rainbow's YouTube channel, which is, just Funky Rainbow, or on our Facebook page, The Funky Rainbow, essentially. I hope you, can catch this wonderful conversation with Soha Ali Khan. We just couldn't get the Instagram thing, going along with Facebook and YouTube. Arunji, Ramendra Kumar, Tara Veeraraghavan, Anita Venugopal, Kanmani Kavita, Divya Menon, Ameya and Avyukt, Nidhi Agarwal, Rupan Bedi, Mandira Shah, Ritvika Roy, Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj, Rima Khurana, Apurva Ashok, Chandra Subramanian. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm also going to check, who else has joined us. My colleagues sent them all up on Unstoppable, Deepuli, Akshaya, Twessa Tales, My Animal Pals, Arzu Kaveri Sen, Bookmarked, Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj, Anusha Veluswamy, Preeti Menon, Jyoti Narayan, Shampoo Chats, Kochi Ku, Shubhi, Gala Pinal, Andalib Wajid, House of Books and Tales, Orusha Bohra, Lavender Blue, Dr. Shilpa, Van Mukhil, Arundhati, Trisha, Shikha, Mehboob, The Literature Boy, Zahed Ali, Bharpur Mehra, Trisha Pandey, Ratni Devi, Lost and Found Foundation, Majestic Moment, I Am Rashid, Neelu Kulkarni, Angel Mary, Raz, Avni, Sassy Nabi, Sajida V, Riddhi, Nazim, Trisha, Sami Beg, and Pinky. Thank you so much for joining us on this show today. All the books that we've recommended, you can reach us at 99004956665. You can also reach us on our Facebook and Instagram channels. We wish you a bow wow of a weekend ahead, and we hope that you always have furry, two-legged, three-legged, four-legged friends in your life. We'll see you next week with another bazaar. Till then, stay safe, stay reading, and make sure you always have a book with you because books make for the best friends ever. Bye bye.